Hello, everybody. I think we'll start in about a minute. If everybody's, I know we're getting trained in the new system. Do we need are we all good? We're ready to start? Oh, wonderful. And David, you have your red light on. I wonder if that means anything. I think that normally means that you're waiting to speak, but we haven't started the meeting yet, so I think, I'm George Gastel. I'm the chair of the committee, and it's wonderful to see everybody. And I believe we start with a roll call. Our clerk. Oh, and we do the roll call differently, I think. Yeah, for the roll call, I think we just push the right button. So I'll let our clerk guide us in that.
So you guys are going to note your presence on the tablets. So it's going to pop up and all you'll need to do is just tap it, okay? Okay, we have 11 present with 4 absent.
Wonderful. And we 100% success rate on learning the technology so far. Wonderful, wonderful. And if you know any of the people that are absent, be sure and tell them what a great meeting is and make sure they know they missed out. Okay, I'm going to go back to, I got to refine my agenda. Okay, so just one second here. Okay. I lost my agenda. I got to find it again. Oh, I'm going to get some help. Documents. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Awesome, possum. Okay. And next we have public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have one public comment. If you can make your way to the podium, please.
Am I lit? Yes, I am. I hope you allow me a few extra minutes to talk because what I have is going to be a little bit extensive. Very frustrating. I came to talk on one part of your ability, or people's ability, staff, to direct people who are blind, and I came in with a whole lot more information. Couple months ago, there was a work on the trolley blue line. I now live in Chula Vista. I've been on the ASAC meeting in the past due to some items in my life. I wasn't able to meet my obligations on the committee, but I'm back and I'm now living in Chula Vista permanently. I rode the trolley home, or attempted to. I boarded it at the City College station. At 12th and Imperial, I was told this trolley is going no farther. You need to go get buses. I had to find out, where do I go get a bus? Where do I go get a bus? Find somebody. Can you tell me where I can go find the buses? I will tell you the bus that I needed was nowhere near this building. I finally, because I have a load of sight, found a security guard who was helpful. I got him to walk me over to where the buses were forming the bridge to get to the southern part of the route. When I got to the station that was where the trolley would continue, I wasn't directed how to get to the doors to the trolley, what direction to go, where I was on the platform. I had to figure it out. I got to miss the trolley because sighted people weren't helping me, and wait for the next one, which took quite a while. And the first one was very full. And again, nobody was letting me on. Nobody was assisting me. When I finally figured out, it was.
Your time has expired.
Yeah, I think probably you could connect directly with staff and then somebody could help you.
I did not address the trolley part. I will only address what went on downstairs. You need to know.
We can give you another minute if you can make it brief, but I really think that staff can directly help you probably better than, than I could.
Okay, you're assuming the staff will help, but I'm telling you, it's gonna take more than just a really quick fix. I almost was not permitted to come to this committee and speak only because I wanted in the wrong door. When I was trying to figure out where to go, I was being told, over there, over there, over there. When I explained to the security officers downstairs, I can't see where over there is. Please give me some information. We aren't going to let you go to the meeting. If you don't do what we tell you to, you're not coming to the meeting. That's not the way to have somebody come in the building. I'm blind. I already told them I'm blind and I have a guide dog. Because when I went through the wrong door, going through the scanner, sat my dog, asked them, can I call my dog? Can I call my dog? They would not talk to me. My dog will set off the device. Finally got them to say, are you bringing your dog in? It's a guide dog. And because I did a lot of talking, I didn't give up. I finally got myself in and a few other people there. And you have one staff member who was gracious and said, I will accompany these people upstairs. There was at least 4 of us down there that could not be entered because of the security. And if that's can be handled with a quick conversation with staff, fine. I don't believe so. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really glad you could come and speak to us. And that staff member that helped you, that person is typical of our staff. Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers?
We have no further public comments.
Okay, thank you. And I think next we have the minutes. Are we ready to approve the minutes from July 18th? Yes.
There's a question about the minutes before you want to approve them. Do you want to take that now?
Yes, yes. Oh, okay.
So
Oh, now you're green.
now I'm
Excellent,
green, yeah.
excellent. Okay.
Okay, great. It's a quick and simple question. And I don't think you'll have the answer. It'll probably have to come from MTS staff. Discussion item was the Pronto online reduced fare application update given by Israel and Amanda. Near the bottom, it says MTS expiration emails will go out 30, 60, 90 days prior to expiration, and continuation of monitoring of results just as needed. My question would be, because we have a large account with MTS, would the email go to the actual individual recipient, or would it go to the institution whose account is being held for the cards, the Pronto cards?
That's a great question. Do we know the answer?
No, I do not, but I'll follow up
Find
with
out.
you. I'll get an answer for you.
Does it affect the minutes? Because it seems like it might be a really good thing to know, but not necessarily something that would affect the minutes. I think the minutes might stand, you know what I mean? I think the minutes might stand as they are because they say what we talked about. But the answer to your question, I think we can get it back to you. Thank you. Anything else related to the minutes? So I believe we need a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve. And I got a second from David. And, what button do I push? Voting? Can we vote? And now we can vote on the minutes? Okay.
Minutes passed with 10 members voting yes, with 3 absent and 1 voting no.
Well, one person voting no. I feel like maybe we should have changed them before the vote. Should I ask why someone voted no? No? Okay. I won't worry about it then. Okay. Sometimes people abstain because they weren't at the meeting. That's very common. But if you're ever going to vote no, maybe let us know ahead of time in case we might want to fix the minutes to get a, in the, because usually the minutes are something we should all agree on. Okay, but I'm told that I shouldn't worry about the no vote, so I won't. All right, let me go back to my, okay, next we have discussion items. We've got I believe APTA stands for American Public Transit Association. APTA peer review with Mr. Postball.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. So I'm going to go over briefly our APTA peer review, which took place in February, actually February 4th of 2024. Our CEO, Sharon Cooney, she requested the review. And what the review does is go over our policies and procedures. It's relating to our paratransit services. It included eligibility, reservations, dispatch, maintenance of vehicles and facilities, our operations, and MTS's oversight of our third-party contractors. So like I said, the peer review was held in February 4th. They arrived on site and they conducted the peer review on February 5th to the 9th, sorry. The peer review team consisted of Eileen Collins, who's the Director of Accessible Transportation Programs for TriMet, Jack Garate, the Department Manager, Specialized Transit Services of OCTA, Aaron Vogel, the Vice President of Operations / COO of Indianapolis Public Transportation, Art Gazzetti, the Vice President, Policy and Mobility of APTA, and Lisa Jerome, the Senior Director, Bus Operations and New Vehicle Technologies, APTA. So before I get into some of the observations, I'd like to go over a few of the highlights that they noted of our operation of our contracted services. So some of the items that they noted are, even with the limited staffing resources that oversee the MTS access service, the MTS staff they were very engaged on focusing on safe, reliable, accessible services. Trip by trip, it's managed by MTS in 4 different zones, making it even more challenging. So it's worth highlighting the success that MTS has had. MTS staff hold the contractor accountable to contract standards with constant follow-up and review. The maintenance area for our contractor TransDev, they were really impressed with it. It appeared to be very clean and organized for both paratransit and our minibus fleet. The third-party rider survey, which was held in 2023, was sponsored by MTS, and we got positive results back from that. And lastly, MTS understands that the successful contracted service is a partnership and a two-way street. Instead of us really dictating the terms, we work with the contractor hand in hand to make sure that we roll out successful service to the public. All right, so these next couple of slides are going to be some of the observations and recommendations that the peer review team saw. Well, when I say observations, they're not potentially issues with our service, just observations to conform to industry standards or ways that we could improve the service a little bit. And these next couple of slides will go over the more public-facing, customer-facing aspects of our service. So the first bullet here goes for eligibility for MTS access. It relies on medical verification, with the functional assessment being administered only for appeals. What they recommended is that we build a functional assessment as part of the in-person eligibility interviews. And we do agree with that. And what we plan on doing is building an in-house functional assessment this year or into next year, FY25, and we'll incorporate that into the eligibility process. So one interview, you come in for your interview and you get that functional assessment. So the next item is there were no processes in place to determine the weight of the wheelchairs. This is what they noted. There is a process that MTM has, but they did recommend that we purchase a scale to have the clients go on to make sure they don't exceed the maximum weight of the lifts of our vehicles. I am in the process of working with procurement to procure one of those. and we will be moving forward with that. The next bullet here is travel training in the fixed route service is underutilized and should be encouraged for all paratransit riders. This is something that we are currently working on. We're working on with marketing and with MTM to incorporate that into the eligibility interview process. So that is to come here later in FY 2025. Another observation is there's no option for auto renewal in the eligibility process. So what they are getting at is we have a 5-year eligibility, and they recommended that after 5 years, if your condition's unchanging, it's just automatic renewal. We don't necessarily disagree with it. We don't agree completely with it. What we think we're going to move forward with is a modified recommended. If after 5 years your condition is unchanged or unchanging will not change, we may forego the in-person interview, just a kind of a modified doctor's Part B. So sending that in. So there's more to come on that also. Next, a high number of services are being provided by contractors without onboard vehicle surveillance. They're recommending that we consider implementing onboard cameras for subcontractors, and that is currently in the process. A directive went out earlier in August to have all taxis and subcontractors to have a camera, onboard camera approved by MTS by January 1st of 2025. And lastly here, the do not leave alone rider standard is a major hindrance to operation and goes beyond ADA requirements. The industry's best practice recommends a personal care attendant or companion for riders who cannot be left alone. Their recommendation is for MTS to follow industry best practices and not allow a DLA passenger as a service option, but rather recommend DLA riders with the TCA or travel companion. We do agree with that. However, we are not going to completely go away with that. We're going to phase. We don't have a solid plan yet. I'm still working on a plan, but we're going to phase it out slowly. And in some aspect, we plan on grandfathering in whoever is DLA right now. So they'll get to maintain their DLA status while we're not accepting any new DLA passengers. All right, now these next couple of slides are going to go over more of the back end items that aren't so public facing, but that are incorporated within our service. So there's a breakdown and understanding of communication initiatives between MTS, contract agencies, and riders. So one of the recommendations which we're going to develop is a quarterly newsletter. I think that'll help mold all of those aspects and get everyone on the same page. So look for that further on in FY 2025. The FTA encourages agencies to make subscription services available. Right now, or in February, only 23% of the trips were subscription services. We are working with our contractor TransDev to make more of those trips subscription services. So they're identifying passengers that may benefit from the subscription service. Updating subscription templates for clients should be done every 60 days as outlined in the Rider's Guide. We have worked with our contractor to correct that, and they are currently undergoing that process. So they're following that directive. There's clear disparities between on-time arrivals for pickups and on-time arrivals for appointments. No emphasis on the critical nature of be there or be by appointment times. So we have worked with TransDev on this, and this has been corrected. What the reservationists are doing is identifying if a passenger has an appointment, they're recommending an appointment time. So a pickup time based on that appointment time, instead of scheduling everyone for a scheduled pickup time and being late to their appointments. Riders who cancel over 80% of a subscription service trip are contacted to review that subscription trip. So right now, our subscription passengers, if they have in a month period, have an 80% cancellation rate or a no-show rate, we call them and bring that up with them to see if they really need the service. They're recommending reducing that to 50%. We do agree with that, and we will move forward with that. Information about holidays where subscription rides will be automatically canceled is posted on the MTS Access website 6 months or less in advance. So they're recommending that we push it out a little bit further. It has been pushed out, so having the information a year out. Next is our vehicle for developmentally disabled persons certification that our contractors, drivers are required to have per our contract. We went over the criteria for this and we found that they do not need that certification. So we are currently working with our contractor to remove the requirement for that certification, which will in turn speed up their recruiting and hiring process, which will get more drivers in the door for them. The database that houses client eligibility is stored in the contractor's proprietary software. They're recommending that we build our own database. However, MTM does give us access to their database, which is what we do right now. We don't need to build our own database. We have their database. The current invoicing process is highly complex. I'm working with Transdev to get it down to a level to where we're not having so many reports to do the invoicing process. Next, the formal written process for liquidated damages or other financial disincentives for key management positions are not defined in the contract. So they're recommending adding liquidated damages for key vacancies over 30 days. We do agree with that, but we will not implement that right away. In further contracts, we could add that to an RFP. And lastly on this slide, First Transit provides limited information related to the training given to its staff. So what we're doing is we do audit First Transit on a semi-consistent basis. We're just gonna go back and change the criteria a little bit for them providing us with their data, with their training files for new employees, tenured employees, and that'll be on a semi-monthly basis now. Next, the Trapeze software is not the most current available. I am currently working with Trapeze along with the IT department on getting the newest version of our Trapeze scheduling software. Proper calculations were indicated in the appointment-based scheduling section per the contract. So pretty much what they're saying is that our calculations for on-time performance for appointment-based they weren't aligned right in our scheduling software. So what we did, we went back, did a little bit of analysis, and now everything's conformed to what FTA standards are. MTS has a small oversight team relative to other agencies. We are in the works of possibly adding another in-house person to the team of myself and Brienne. The definition of a missed trip is different in the contract versus NTD reporting. While our definitions are different, we clearly define in our contract purposes of missed trip for NTD, for FTA, and for liquidated damages. So we don't feel that we need to change any of that language. Lastly here, the pandemic change demands on paratransit and the fleet capacity operation analysis has not been conducted. They're recommending that we conduct a fleet capacity operational analysis. And we are currently doing that with future procurement of vehicles. We're looking at how our service is, what our ridership's like, to see if we can change up the fleet a little bit to be a little more efficient. So last slide here, First Transit's currently undergoing a transition in staffing, which can potentially highlight staff morale issues. While this was an issue in February, it is not currently an issue. And this goes with the bullet here on the bottom of it on the left, that First Transit departments are understaffed and struggling with morale and workload. While that may have been an issue in February, it is not an issue. We went to an employee engagement event in July and we see no signs of morale issues. Turnover hasn't been as high as it has been in the past. So they have addressed that. They worked with us to address that. And lastly here, the ASAC is currently composed of the MTS Board of Directors member. What they're suggesting or recommending is that for an MTS board member to be the chair, they want a committee member, as someone from the public, to possibly be in a leadership position. While we do have four members, yes, on our committee that are public, that are committee members, we do not recommend with that moving forward. We believe that MTS board member being the chair molds into it. He brings in that ASEC, the accessible services into the board meetings with them, that representation. So. So the final remarks from the peer review team is the peer review is not centered on compliance issues, no issues surfaced on compliance. They're really just recommendations on best practices. They were really impressed with the strong engagement, passion, and accountability that the accessible services team here they showed, and for their complimentary paratransit services. So I'll open up the floor for questions, comments.
Questions and comments? Oh, let's see. David.
Am I on?
I think I'm forgetting which button to push. He's on. Good. Okay. Oh,
Green is go. Charles, talked about the functional assessment being incorporated with the interview. Cognitive functional assessments are usually done by like a licensed psychologist. Would the interviewer have the kind of certification necessary to be able to make a cognitive functional assessment?
So our functional assessment is to determine their ability to use fixed route services.
Okay, for fixed route.
Yes, correct.
But not the paratransit.
It goes in hand with using our paratransit service. We want to do a functional assessment to see if they're able to use some of our fixed route services. Sorry.
They do that now, don't they? In the interview?
They do it in a modified way. What we're proposing and recommending is to build a more in-depth functional assessment with indoors with curb cuts, ramps, kind of stuff like that.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
and Todd Lordson. Did I push the wrong button? Oh, the microphone. Okay.
Hey, Charles, the comment about the sub rides, subscription rides. We have a lot of riders who go Monday through Friday, same program, pickup time, drop off time every day. In years past, we had a good working relationship with First Transit where we could call them and say, can you evaluate this person and things like that. Somewhere through the years, that's been lost. And so I don't know if we can build on that at all, but I would definitely love to work on that.
Yes, definitely. I could definitely put you in contact with Transdev GM, and they'll work with you on getting whatever subscriptions you need.
Wonderful. Any other comments? I was gonna comment, first of all, that I'm really glad to hear that the morale is good with First Transit. I believe that it was a very challenging time during the strike and in the aftermath of the strike, but people have moved on and looking ahead. People are feeling much more positive, but we should always be mindful that morale is incredibly important, and that we want people to feel like they're working as part of a big, happy, extended family. I like to think as much as possible, people that really know and trust each other. And I also wanted to say, in regard to the ASEC chair being someone from the board of MTS, I think it's a benefit. I think it's a benefit to have an ASEC chair who's coming from the board of MTS, and the fact that everybody at the MTS meetings know me. If I bring something to MTS, people already know who I am. I think is an asset, and it's an asset we might want to do more with. I'll be thinking about how to get the most out of that. Are there any other comments about the report? David Marino.
I just have a question. If you're saying you want to increase the use of the subscription service, could you consider expanding what would be allowed to be scheduled for a subscription service. For instance, like if you've got students that are going to taking the same trip twice a week for a semester, for a 6-month semester, would that be something that you could maybe think about using under your subscription services?
So as long as they qualify for their trip qualifies for the paratransit service, that's something we could definitely look into. There's no restrictions on how many, they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example, to school. That's definitely something we could set up with the subscription, but I would refer to the First Transit operations staff. They'll be able to help more with that.
Any other comments, concerns, questions, suggestions? No? All right. Let me go back to our next, our next item is the MTS access update.
All right, so I'm going to go over some of our ridership data from FY24 compared to FY23 now that FY24 is all wrapped up. We do continue to increase in our ridership for our taxi ridership for FY24. We were at 65,403 compared to a little over 58,000 in FY23. Our access only was 200,000 compared to 178,000 at FY23. And our combined service was about 315,000 passengers compared to slightly below 250 in FY23. Now the complaints and compliments in FY24, we did show an improvement in decreasing that overall number, 573 to 596 in FY23. And we did show an increase in our compliments from 40 to 82 in FY24. Moving on to our eligibility stats, the access eligibility, so the total assessments for FY24 decreased slightly. It was 1,200 in FY24 compared to 1,568 in FY23. Our SDM applications increased by about 50, 1,014 in FY24 and 947 FY23. And lastly, our Pronto Extend applications, they decreased significantly in FY24 and went down to 96 from 221 in FY23.
Wonderful. Yes. Mr. Lordson.
Thanks, Chair. Charles, I was just wondering, Care 7, do they fall into taxi or do they fall into access?
So they'll fall into taxi.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Well, that was quick and simple. Oh. Yes, let me. Yes, Miss Rodriguez.
Hi,
Mr.
George, and
Hi.
hi, Chris. Hey, only I wanted to say the when I was reading at home, the numbers were kind of very small. I don't want to know, so you guys can do it for next time a little bit more bigger. The sheet.
Okay, we'll explore that. We'll look into doing that.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on up to number 6, fixed route and trolley update with Keith Van and Brent Boyd.
All right, good afternoon, Chair and committee members. I'm Keith Van, Operations Manager for the in-house bus service. We're still dealing with staffing shortages. We're holding weekly hiring events to kind of try and bolster that. We can have 3 concurrent training classes going at all times. Training classes start every 3 weeks. Let's see, we just had a service change on September 1st. No major changes, just some seasonal weekend schedule adjustments to our routes 8, 9, and 30. Let's see what else. Also, this could be pertinent information, but I don't know if you guys know, but we have a bus enforcement team within our security department. So we have a dedicated team that works in the morning. That we have 2 teams now, but they work in the morning from 5 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monitor our radio calls and they respond directly for bus. I mean, it's a 2-man team and the region is wide, so it's a start, right? So we just recently added, security just recently added a night team that works until 12:30 a.m. So we potentially have almost 20 hours of security coverage dedicated just for bus. There's also a passenger safety team that rides buses in plain clothes to help deter crime and observe, quality of life stuff like that. That's about it.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Brent Boyd, Manager of Rail Planning and Performance. A couple updates with the trolley. Coming up September 29th, just Sunday, we're going to have a major service change out in East County. The green line and orange lines both extend past El Cajon currently, the orange line to Arnell and the green line out to Santee. Starting September 29th, we'll implement the copper line, which is going to serve all the stations between El Cajon and Santee. Coming up with that, we'll have some service enhancements, particularly on the weekends along the green and orange lines. Right now, all the Sunday or half of the Sunday trips on the green line turn at San Diego State, those are all going to be extended out to East County. And we'll have extra service on the orange line in the mornings on the weekends. Right now we have a weekday, a Saturday and a Sunday schedule for the trolley. We're going to go to a weekday and weekend schedule. So Sunday and Saturday we'll have a similar schedule. There will be a rider appreciation event for the copper line, which will be Monday morning, Monday the 30th. Out at El Cajon, there'll be free coffee and donuts for anybody that wants to come by. And they'll have a souvenir for this copper line implementation. It's either a mug or a pen. So hopefully we see you out there. It'll be at El Cajon Transit Center. After that, in January, we are on target for implementing 15-minute service across the board on all trolley lines at all times, basically from the beginning of service till the end of service. Both the orange and green lines go to half-hour service at night. The plan is to go to 15-minute service in all days starting in January. We'll have more information about that. I think there'll probably another ASAC meeting in December, so we'll probably have a better update there. And that's it. That's my update.
Thank you.
I had
Any-
one more thing to add.
Oh, thank you.
October 2nd, the Regional Free Ride Day.
Yes. Yes. October 2nd. And I know some of us are aware that October 1st is Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday. So, yeah, the former president, and if Jimmy Carter makes it to 100, then I'll be riding the trolley with a grin on my face, and anybody else that wants to say how wonderful it is can join me. But I just thought that was really it's just one day after one of our greatest living Americans will hopefully make it to 100. I hear it won't be. It's not a given, but we'll be celebrating if he makes it. Yeah, October 2nd should be a great day. And I think last year we saw a pretty significant bump in ridership, right? Wonderful. And it's the trolley and the buses, right?
That's correct.
Okay, good.
And all NCTD services as well.
NCTD as well. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Wow. Okay. Okay. Any questions, comments before we move on to the committee member communications and other business? Thank you. Thank you for their report. Oh, I'm sorry. There is one. Oh, yes, it's Benjamin. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Here we go.
Okay, sorry. Pardon my ignorance as an alternate, new to this format. I did have a couple questions. The nighttime busing, the security, is that security that's flexible and based on sort of the feedback that MTS receives that kind of moves around to address maybe like hotspots or that sort of thing? How does
Yeah,
that work?
definitely. So the night team, they roam the whole region, but They work with customer service in the complaint department and hotspots where we're having assaults and like high areas that are, you know, unsafe, vandalism. So they kind of target specific places.
Okay. And my other question was, I was just at Petco Park, and I'm wondering in terms of service, we were talking about the half-hour service at night. Now, I remember that, it's a 15-minute accelerated service, like after Padres games and concerts and things like that. But it brought to mind what, for individuals with disabilities that are utilizing that service, is that something that's that we've gotten feedback on that you know of in terms of going to and from, let's say, a Padres game and how well that type of service would work for them?
In terms of the special event service, so for concerts and Padre games and all at Petco Park and all the events at Snapdragon, we operate, it's actually better than 15-minute service typically. We schedule the 15-minute service and then we have extra trains available to run as needed. So typically we'll schedule for a Padre game, for instance, we'll schedule 15-minute service, but then we'll have 2 trains ready to go for the second the game ends, because you don't know exactly when the game's going to end. So we have them in reserve and ready to go as soon as the bulk of the crowds come out. We get very good feedback from our special event service. In terms of ADA and disabled riders specifically, I can't speak to any specific feedback that we've gotten. Generally, we get very good feedback, but the trains are very crowded right after an event. I mean, they are super crowded. I was on a train after a Padre game last weekend, and I couldn't even move. So it's definitely a challenge. We have not gotten any specific feedback, but we're certainly open to hearing feedback.
Thank you. I was just curious as to, after seeing how popular that was, what the experience would be like for somebody who had that challenge with those crowds, and how they kind of try to address that, or how you guys work with them.
Generally, at least at the key stations where, at the stadium station or at Gaslamp Quarter Station, 12th Imperial for after Petco Park events, we have a lot of personnel that's out there. We have security, we have station ambassadors, and so on. And usually if they see a wheelchair come up, they'll make space for the wheelchair to get on the vehicle and so on. That typically happens. It might not happen in every case, but that's the idea. Of course, it is a challenge with how many people are out there. If you've ever seen a post-Padres crowd or anything of that sort, it does get very crowded. But we do have a lot of personnel out there trying to help out as much as they can.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And David?
Just a quick question. You don't have a specifically designated area for the wheelchair van to pull up and pick up a rider, do you? At the park?
For like the ADA, the access vehicles?
For the ADA transit vehicles, yeah.
I'm not sure. Do you know?
I don't believe there is one, and just speaking from personal experience, the drivers don't know where to pick you up, and the rider doesn't know where to meet the shuttle, and there's no one to ask or direct them. So
Yeah,
it's a point of confusion.
At Stadium Station, there's a turnaround. So that's a very clear area for the access vehicles to serve. For the Petco Park events, yeah, I'm not sure. So that's something that we can look into.
I would just recommend that if you do designate one place, then MTS can let the riders know, and MTS can let the drivers know, and then they can come together more smoothly. It's my only comment.
So I could speak on that.
I don't think the crowds are difficult.
So usually with locations like that, like Petco Park or Snapdragon Stadium, they have what they refer to as a common location with our scheduling system. So they create a common location in our scheduling software, and they designate that spot. So they work with the passenger on where they're going to pick them up.
Thank you. And Renee?
Hi, Jimmy. And so over there by City College, I've been seeing a lot of homeless in that trolley station, and sometimes I see because I work to convention centers tonight, and I see some homeless in the trolleys. Only just to let you guys know. And the other thing I want to echo Dave and Jim about what they're saying about the disability seems very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on this item? Wonderful. Well, we can move on to Committee member communications and other business? Any committee member communications? No? Okay. Our next meeting, December 19th, 2024, 1 PM. Everybody looking forward to it? I'm going to invite the chair of MTS. He's hoping to make it so that we can have Stephen Whitburn visit us for the meeting. And so hopefully we can make that a little part of our agenda, just to communicate a little bit with our chair of MTS, maybe find out a little bit about what his priorities are. Anything else before we go to adjournment? All right. Well, thank you folks for a wonderful meeting. It's good to see everybody again, and I'll see you on December 19th.